My content isn't designed to ruffle feathers, but that's what it does. Hi, my name's Laura. I'm an American living in Russia, and I don't like to talk about the shallow topics. What I mean is like, oh, Americans like Coca-Cola and Russians like kvass. It's interesting, but other people make that content. I talk about the deeper things, about the cultural things, the things that are embedded in us deeply. And I show differences in ways of life between America and Russia. And if I point out something that feels offensive, my comment section goes crazy. And one thing I've noticed is that people will often say, it's like that everywhere, or you just don't understand how it is here. I only hear that from people who have only ever lived in one culture. There are so many things that we take for granted as cultural versus universal, and you don't see them until you travel somewhere else and you see that there is completely other ways to live. For example, I was riding around with a friend. When I say friend, I mean знакомый. We don't understand the word friend in English. So I was riding around with a friend, and I pointed out at this grandmother who was crossing the road. And when I say grandmother, I mean babushka. And I wouldn't call them grandmothers in English, but babushka is a thing that doesn't exist in English. And that was my point, is that I was looking at this babushka who was wearing her scarf and her cane and her tights with her boots when it was like 20 degrees outside. And I said, American grandmothers don't look that way. They don't. You look at an American woman who is 60 or 70, I'm calling her a woman, I'm not calling her a babushka. They look older, but they don't look that old. And it's something about the culture. It is something about the expected way to look and act and be when you are older in Russia. And it, of course, comes from the Soviet Union, comes down from traditions and history. That's what culture is. America, we have a different culture, and because of that, we have a different behavior. It's not everybody, it's a generalization, but it's true. And he looked at me, he's like, how could they look different? As if the idea that older people could look different in a different country just never occurred to them, because every grandmother looks like that here, with some exceptions. But the point is, in America, that's not the exception. I point out these differences in culture because they're interesting, and you can argue against them for sure. There's lots of conversation to be had. But unless you have seen both sides, you really don't know what is possible.